Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, we are taking a look at a really fun meme team in the Ultra League Premier Cup, the Triple Shadow Fighter meme team. These battles were submitted by a member of the community, so many thanks for the battle submission. This team features Shadow Gallade on the lead, with Shadow Machamp and Shadow Hariyama in the back. This team obviously has a tremendous amount of shared weaknesses, including fairies, flyers, Trevenant, among others, but this trainer is able to fight back and get some truly incredible wins. Hopping to the first match, sliding Shadow Gallade into Sylveon right off the bat, the absolute nightmare lead. All three Pokemon take super effective damage from Sylveon, so the Gallade honestly has to stay in here. Getting absolutely destroyed by the charms, goes for the Leaf Blade, and the Leaf Blade lands. That is actually massive, because hopefully this means that Shadow Machamp is going to be able to farm down. Shadow Machamp has to commit the shield, but this is going to be a rough farm down as they're going to be taking a lot of charms in the process, so Shadow Machamp has a lot of energy but is down on shields. The question is, what does the opponent have in the back? And they bring in a Shadow Snorlax, and if Shadow Snorlax is their best response to a fighter now that Sylveon's gone, then there may actually be a chance. Going for the back-to-back cross chops, Shadow Machamp able to apply a ton of pressure, and now in comes Shadow Hariyama. Shadow Hariyama does have some decent bulk to it, so they are going to call the first one just the body slam, and the final Pokemon in the back is Shadow Walrein. Unfortunately, Shadow Walrein is incredibly spammy, so they're going to be able to reach the Icicle Spear there. Hariyama farming up, they're going for the close combat, but they are going to get outpaced by this Walrein. Lowers the defense, Walrein gets greedy, goes for the farm down, and Shadow Hariyama is able to reach the second close combat. That takes out the Walrein, taking out the Snorlax, and despite the fairy type, able to get the win. Picking up the dream lead in the next match, Shadow Gallade into Toxicroak, but then disaster strikes. The opponent safe switches into a wing attack Charizard. There's a bunch of lag. They get like 5 wing attacks at once, so who knows what their energy count is at. Going for the close combat. Close combat is shielded. It is CMP, going to preserve the Gallade for later in the match, and now in comes Shadow Machamp. Gets the cross chop very quickly and going to be able to pressure a shield here because this Charizard has a ton of energy that it does not want to lose. This is a very tough call. Going to shield up, gets baited, just the Dragon Claw. Machamp going for the farm down. I believe this is just the Claw. It is the Claw, and then they aggressively switch back into Toxicroak. Unfortunately, switch timer is not up yet, so they're just going to go for the cross chop. This will not do a whole lot of damage, and then they do get farmed down. And now they're going to bring in Shadow Hariyama to basically try and force some energy. Because ideally you want to try and snipe with the Gallade, but Gallade is not tanky enough to survive a move. Tanks the Sludge Bomb, able to snipe with the Shadow Gallade. They still do have the Charizard in the back, and we have yet to see their third. The third is Walrein. Going for the close combat. This should KO from the Shadow Gallade. Walrein having absolutely nowhere to run. Goodbye, Walrein. Charizard able to wing attack down. Hariyama able to reach the close combat. This is going to be more than enough to take out the Charizard. And despite the wing attack user, the triple Shadow Fighters able to get the win. Picking up a pretty neutral lead in the next match, Shadow Gallade into Shadow Dragonite. At the very least, both parties can do neutral here. Gallade will need to commit the shield, but then should be able to double up on moves here shortly. Farming up to the back-to-back Leaf Blades. Opponent goes for a catch onto Escavalier, and I'm guessing they are going to no-shield this. They do! They thought they caught a Leaf Blade, and they most certainly did not. And the Pokemon in the back is Shadow Muck. They have 2 shields, they're probably going to use them, so I do like the bait here. Going for the cross chop, able to grab the shield, and then recognizing that any damage is good damage, deciding to go for the cross chop. Opponent knows it's just a cross chop. They decide not to shield, but they also recognize that they're not going to be able to farm down without taking another, so they decide to throw the Thunder Punch. Back in comes Gallade. Gallade is able to reach a last-second Leaf Blade, and hopefully you can defer the Poison Jab onto the Hariyama. Unfortunately, not quite able to do so, but in comes Shadow Hariyama, and the worst they can throw here is a Thunder Punch. So you can probably just tank this. That Shadow Dragonite is very low. Back in comes the Shadow Dragonite. It gets countered down, and Shadow Hariyama going for the close combat. This is going to be more than enough resisted damage to take out the low HP Shadow Muck, and that is a good game. Hopping to the next match, switching Shadow Gallade into Shadow Walrein, a simultaneous save switch, and it looks like we have a battle of triple Shadow users on our hands. Machamp bluffing the Rock Slide that it doesn't have and able to grab a shield from the Gyarados, and now going for Cross Chop number 2. The Gyarados doesn't have to shield, but this will do some solid resisted damage, and it's a CMP tie that is even better. This is going to be more than enough to take out, but the Gyarados smartly undercharges, so that way they can get extra energy, and now they're going to bring in the Shadow Hariyama to absorb the energy. The opponent went for a blind crunch and able to farm down with the Hariyama, and the final Pokemon in the back is Shadow Swampert. Hariyama going straight for the close combat, going for the kill shot, close combat, one-shots the Swampert, back in comes the Shadow Walrein, and that is a good game. Hopping to the next match, switching Shadow Gallade into Alolan Muck, and this is trouble. Going to instantly save switch into Shadow Machamp, and Shadow Machamp is met with Surfetched. Honestly, this is not a bad situation to be in whatsoever. Shadow Machamp has the energy lead, and this feels very flippable. But instead, actually deciding to take shield advantage instead of making a play for switch. Should be able to farm down with the Gallade. They should only be able to reach a Leaf Blade, but they are actually going to preserve some health. Committing the shield on the Leaf Blade, Shadow Gallade, not the tankiest mon around, going to farm up and go for the close combat on the Alolan Muck. This will do some solid neutral damage if it lands, able to grab the final shield, in comes Shadow Hariyama, and this should just be the Acid Spray. Going to tank that Acid Spray, no problem. What is in the back? They are staying in, trying to do as much damage as possible, so it looks like they are weak to fighting in the back. Going for the close combat, goodbye Alolan Muck, and it's Obstagoon in the back. Hariyama able to reach the close combat with the 4 times debuff defense. The bulk of Shadow Hariyama coming in clutch, taking out the Obstagoon, and that is a good game. Hopping to the next match, switching Shadow Gallade into Trevenant, and this is basically the worst case scenario as Trevenant completely destroys this entire team. Shadow Gallade going to need to commit the shield. They built up to the Shadow Ball, but there's no reason to throw anything but Seed Bomb here. Able to get to the back-to-back Leaf Blades, so long as they undertap here, which they do, they're going to be able to get off the back-to-back Leaf Blades, and these do a solid amount of damage to Trevenant. Trevenant actually lets itself go down, and they're taking the 2-0 shield advantage. Going for the close combat, this will get one of those shields back, but now you have 2 Shadow Fighters and no shields remaining. Going to bring in Shadow Hariyama. Shadow Hariyama has the bulk that Shadow Machamp just does not have, so going to be able to tank this move a lot better, able to tank the Body Slam, farming up the switch and the catch of the Body Slam onto Shadow Machamp. So there's a ton of loaded energy on the Shadow Hariyama. What do they have in back? It is Incineroar. Shadow Machamp farming up, but they don't throw the charge move. They're going to be taken out by the Incineroar, but this actually makes sense because now you just go for the farm down with the Hariyama. Hariyama able to reach the back-to-back close combats, so not throwing the cross chop on Machamp ends up being a stroke of brilliance as the back-to-back close combats able to take out the Snorlax, and that is a good game. Hopping to the next match, leading Shadow Gallade into another Trevenant. When it rains, it absolutely pours. They go straight for the Seed Bomb. Not really a sense in building up to the Shadow Ball, because you're just going to go straight Seed Bomb in this matchup anyway. Shadow Gallade now going to be going for the Leaf Blade. The Trevenant can survive it from this health range, but they do decide to commit the shield. And, oh, they should have gotten the Leaf Blade there, but I believe it lagged ever so slightly, and they're not able to get that Leaf Blade off. That is absolutely heartbreaking. Going to commit the shield on the Seed Bomb, and now recognizing that they're going to be able to reach another move, going for the Cross Chop to at least grab the final shield on the CMP tie. This is unfortunate. All shields are down. Shadow Ball taking out the Machamp. You just have to hope that Shadow Hariyama can sweep in the back. Shadow Hariyama gets the energy lead. Opponent has a Shadow Machamp. Going to farm up 4 counters just before Shadow Machamp reaches the move. Going for the close combat. That takes out Shadow Machamp. What is in the back? It's Shadow Walrein. Able to get to the close combat. This is going to be taking care of the Shadow Walrein. Even despite the back-to-back Trevenant leads, this trainer keeps on winning. Hopping to the next match, you've got to be kidding me. Another Trevenant lead? This is absolutely terrible. going to commit the shield as always and just try and do as much damage as possible with these confusions. Going to be farming up to the back-to-back, going to commit the shield, and then they are going to be able to undertap for the back-to-back Leaf Blades. Leaf Blade number 1, does this opponent decide to shield, or do they take the shield advantage? They decide to take the shield advantage. They bring in Shadow Ampharos. Shadow Ampharos can output a lot of damage, so that is definitely a scary Pokemon to see in the back. And then going to save the Gallade for a potential sack later and bring in Shadow Hariyama. Shadow Hariyama going for the close combat. This will force the final shield, but since they've lowered their defense, a Thunder Punch is now more than enough to take them out. So that is a little scary. Thunder Punch able to take them out, and now it's an unshielded Shadow Machamp versus a Shadow Ampharos with quite a bit of energy. So the question is, can Shadow Machamp survive? They go for the Thunder Punch. What is in the back? And it's Crustle. And this is doable. Going to be going for the Payback. Payback is going to be taking care of this Crustle. And now can they take out the Shadow Ampharos? This is going to be close. Able to counter down Shadow Machamp, so strong. And that's a good game. Hopping to the next match, switching Shadow Gallade into Shadow Swampert. Pretty neutral lead overall. Obviously, Leaf Blade one-shots the Swampert, but Swampert is able to outpace. Swampert able to grab a shield with the Hydro Cannon, and then they save switch into Trevenant, and that is absolutely terrible. Shadow Gallade basically has to stay in here, try and do as much damage as possible. Trevenant able to reach a Seed Bomb, so Shadow Gallade will have to commit that final shield. Shadow Gallade should be able to reach back-to-back Leaf Blades after one more confusion, and hopefully that can draw some shields. Able to draw the shield there, able to reach a second Leaf Blade, so either the Trevenant goes down or they give the final shield, and they instead choose to let Trevenant go down. Back in comes the Shadow Swampert, and a quick swap out into the Shadow Machamp. This Hydro Cannon is going to do a ton of damage. Shadow Machamp able to hold on, and the opponent has Wall Rain in the back, so this is doable. Trevenant absolutely terrible for this team, but Wall Rain is a very good thing to see. They do have a potential sack swap in Gallade, and they do have the Hariyama, but unfortunately the switch clock is not up, so now we get to truly see Shadow Hariyama's bulk. Opponent goes for the Earthquake, Shadow Hariyama able to survive it, but the opponent is able to reach an Icicle Spear. Will this KO? It does KO, and unfortunately not able to get the win. Hopping to the next match, switching Shadow Gallade into Magnezone. Not a bad lead, but he does have two better responses in the back, so gonna save switch into Shadow Machamp, and it is met with Gyarados. This Shadow Machamp, again, does not have Rock Slide, but the opponent does not know that. Faking the Rock Slide, able to grab the shield, which is very nice. Opponent will go for the Aqua Tail here. Aqua Tail should barely not KO, and then Shadow Machamp will be able to get off a last-second Cross Chop. It is resisted damage, but even resisted damage from Shadow Machamp does a solid chunk. And now this sets up Gallade very nicely for a one-shield farm down, because Gallade is going to be able to leave with a close combat loaded to threaten the shield off Magnezone if that's what they decide to bring back in, and that way, Shadow Hariyama is going to have a shield advantage in the end game. Going for the close combat, able to grab the shield, and now it is Shadow Hariyama time, and the Magnezone is staying in. They are wanting to get that shield back. Going to let it through. Wild Charge does big damage. Shadow Hariyama able to hold on. The opponent has Shadow Machamp in the back, and things are set up for a Gallade sweep. Gallade just has to commit the shield, farm all the way down, and then they're going to be able to close combat the Magnezone, and the opponent resigns the match. Hopping to the final match, letting Shadow Gallade into yet another Trevenant. At this point, we know the drill. Stay in with the Gallade, do as much damage as possible, going to need to double shield to get to the back-to-back Leaf Blades, but then should be able to take out the Trevenant if they decide to take shield advantage, and then have a Leaf Blade loaded for whatever is in the back. Going to commit the second shield, under taps, and able to get off the Leaf Blade, and if they decide not to shield, they should be taking them out. They actually live on 1 HP, but able to snipe with the Shadow Machamp and save the Leaf Blade for later in the match. And the opponent brings in Swampert. So they do not have a good response to a fighting type, which is good news for the Hariyama in the back. Throws the Cross Chop on the CMP tie. Hydro Cannon will do a lot of damage, but it's not going to be enough to take out the Shadow Machamp. Shadow Machamp able to do a lot of damage onto this Swampert and able to reach the Cross Chop. Cross Chop. Actually, they don't shield it, and the final Pokemon in the back is Walrein. So having fighters here is good, but a 2-0 shield advantage for Walrein is a very scary thing. In comes Shadow Hariyama. Shadow Hariyama farming up, switching on what could be the Earthquake, and going for the Leaf Blade. Did they get the CMP sack swap? Yes, they did! Is this the Earthquake? Please tell me it's the Earthquake. It is the Earthquake. What an absolutely unreal catch. This is just the Icicle Spear. Shadow Hariyama does not fear Icicle Spear. Able to farm down, and that is a good game. All in all, some truly incredible battles using triple Shadow Fighters. This is not a team I would recommend running if you're trying to climb rank. This is a team with a ton of weaknesses, but as you can see, a very skilled trainer can make a team even with a lot of glaring weaknesses work and make the team work well. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you, as always, to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is absolutely incredible. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.